Do you have a plan to validate that you've met mid-year objectives? Does your team have a plan to confirm that end-of-year objectives are on track to be completed? Hi, I'm Peter Nichol, Data Science CIO. Today, I'm going to get into how to make sure you align your mid-year objectives and have an approach to validate that, in fact, you did achieve those objectives. To start, let's start with the hierarchy of how these different parts relate, what the relationship between objectives and goals and so forth are. To start off, I want to introduce a mnemonic. And the mnemonic is victory means giving others credit and keeping mild manners. I usually remember that mnemonic, but I never remember the details. So if I write out that mnemonic, victory means giving others credit and keeping mild manners, what we get is a list that's a lot easier to remember and frame how these different concepts relate to each other. Vision, mission, goals, objectives, critical success factors, key performance indicators, metrics, and finally measures. The benefit of this is now we have kind of a relationship of how some of these pieces fit together. So when you think about all you've accomplished over the last year and the last 6 months more specifically, probably did some great stuff. But is it really connected to some of those objectives that those executive leaders wanted you to realize, wanted you to achieve? Maybe, maybe not. One way that I came up with over the last few years is to build a goals grid. And this is how it works. It starts off with the objectives on the top, which is kind of the lofty focus area that you're trying to enhance or achieve. Maybe it's improving continuous improvement or operational process improvement or decreasing defects or whatever it is. Then below that, on the left-hand side, I identify what the goal is. And then identify the strategies I'm going to use to achieve that goal. And then next, I talk about my plans and the measures to focus on that goal. And then lastly, how I'm going to validate that, in fact, those measures and activities were completed. So the goal is really an individual, personal approach of how you're going to achieve that objective. Not your team, not everybody else, but how you are going to do that. The strategies are what approaches you're going to take to enable and realize that goal. If it's operational improvement, maybe you have a weekly triage meeting, or you review the triage approach, or you start to look at value streams and value stream mapping, whatever it is. The action and measures focuses on the tasks or activities you're going to use to enable those strategies. And lastly, the validation is how you're going to determine that, in fact, that activity or task was completed on time and was completed thoroughly. So when you look back, what you're able to do is you're able to now to connect those validations to the activities and tasks that you did, to your strategy, to your goals that roll up to your objectives. So now you can validate that, in fact, that objective was completed and was achieved during the period. Hopefully this will provide some insight on how you can connect and validate that you did, in fact, achieve your mid-year goals. I am Peter Nichol, Data Science CIO. Have a great day.